Are you searching for the perfect love? You can't purchase it, you perfect love. Don't be searching for the perfect love unless the lane you searching for someone inside yourself.
Peace, y'all. Welcome to the Women in Hip Hop Wednesdays podcast. A very happy, very black, wait a minute. It's Black History Month. Hold a second. Give me a moment. Peace, y'all. Welcome to the Women in Hip Hop Wednesdays podcast. A very happy, very black, very intersectional black feminist. Happy Black History Month to you. This is my birthday month. This is Black History Month. This is also the month where Valentine's Day lives. And I'm so excited to be here with y'all. I'm your host, your music midwife and nerdy hip hop homegirl, Coco Peila. I'm a multi-hyphenate hip hop artist, singer, songwriter, record producer, songwriting coach, and an MC, which is what qualifies me to take you on this journey. This week's episode is called The Price of Our Genius. So sit back, relax, get a cup of tea, get your notebook out or your rhyme book or your journal, whatever you need to do, water bottle. Let's get into it. So, hip hop music and culture existed before the music industry got involved. It was birthed in block parties, in the Bronx, in basements and community centers. It has roots in Jamaica, in the West Indies. It has roots in Harlem. And it has roots in resistance, in rhythm, and in resourcefulness. But long before hip hop was ever recorded, capitalism was already there. Anti-Black racism was already here. Colonization, genocide, the institution of slavery, sexism, colorism, classism, ableism, homophobia, all the things. These systems were already embedded in society and eventually in the industries built to profit off of our art. And when I'm talking about our art, I'm talking about Black African heritage people. So by the time women started showing up and innovating in hip hop, which was in the beginning, we were already navigating those systems. And when the music industry got involved, it didn't invent the exploitation of women in hip hop, it professionalized it. Suddenly there were contracts, corporations, gatekeepers, and many of the same tools used to exploit Black women in other music genres like jazz, blues, gospel, soul were now being applied to hip hop. This is why the history of Black women in the music industry is not separate from the story of women in hip hop. They're entangled. And that story can't be told, none of this can be told without reflecting on the institution of slavery in the so-called Americas. So y'all will notice I'm like rushing through this because I'm so passionate about this. You know, my work, from my music to any cultural organizing work that I've done throughout these last 22 plus years has always been rooted in the liberation of Black women and girls. And so talking about this and framing this is like one of my passions, and getting to talk about it in the context of hip hop, which I'm so passionate about, is like everything to me. So from the moment the first African women and girls were stolen, bought, and transported across the ocean against their will, Black women's bodies were targeted not just as unpaid laborers, but as a specific class of people to be sexually exploited, used to carry, birth, raise, and care for enslaved Black children and the children of enslavers. Without Black women and girls' biological capabilities, slavery as an ongoing profitable industry would not have been possible. Those responsible for creating slavery as an institution and industry crafted belief systems, doctrines and laws to justify the entitlement to Black women's care, labor, and reproduction. And when the Emancipation Proclamation was signed in 1863, those beliefs didn't disappear. They sank deeper into the soil of this country. They became subconscious. They mutated into policies, stereotypes, and habits, and they continued to shape how society and every industry in it devalued, dismissed, and exploited Black women and girls. So when the music industry and hip hop culture struggle or flat out fail to properly value, protect, credit, or compensate Black women for our labor, contributions, innovations, intelligence, creativity, genius, swag, okay, leadership, it didn't start with hip hop. It didn't even start with the music industry. It started with a global system of anti-Black, sexist, ableist, homophobic, white supremacist, capitalists. Like, it started with these systems of oppression that existed beforehand. These violent systems that saw us as tools to be used, not artists to be honored. But today, I wanted to tell you a few stories that have stood out to me as I've been studying the lives of Black women in the music industry and in hip hop, how they lived, how they resisted, how they were treated and compensated, and how their brilliance continues to echo. And some of them you will know, and some of them you might not know, or you may know all of them, but I just wanted to share a little bit about each woman. Nina Simone once sang of 4 women: Aunt Sarah, Saffronia, Sweet Thing, and Peaches, each carrying the weight of Black womanhood in America. But those women weren't just metaphors. They lived in Billie Holiday, whose voice was weaponized against her. Strange Fruit was censored. The FBI hounded her until her death, while profits from her music went to others, and she died with only 70 cents in her bank account. Whitney Houston, one of the greatest singers of all time, sold over 200 million records, and yet died with barely a fraction of her wealth, of the wealth that her voice generated. She was essentially devoured by the music industry. Angie Stone, a founding mother of hip hop with the sequence, we gon' funk you right on up, we gon' funk you right on up. I've talked a little bit about her and about the sequence. She helped build the house, but her name is barely whispered in the halls of hip hop. Nina Simone, who we're talking about right now, who wrote for women, brilliant, fierce, a voice of resistance, she left this world still fighting for ownership of her music while corporations, labels, and execs cashed in. This system and the music industry was never meant to honor, credit, protect, or pay Black women what we're worth. So this is what I've been learning. What I've been learning, realizing really, is as I study the lives of Black women, musicians, and their genius, is brilliance, talent, and even legendary status are not enough to protect Black women in an industry built to exploit us. Ownership is freedom, and without it, even the most powerful voices are silenced, stolen from, or erased. History repeats itself unless we claim our worth and rewrite the rules. The music industry as it stands was never designed to honor or safeguard us. It was designed to profit from our pain and to profit, period. That's why we see all of these innovations happening with AI. We see folks signing AI artists instead of trying to reimagine new systems that would actually be sustainable for our ecosystem within the music industry, within hip hop, and to each their own. But telling these truths is a part of our power. It's a part of our fight for freedom. So here's what I want you to do. Remember their names: Billie, Whitney, Angie, Nina, say them out loud, not just as legends, but as Black women who fought for their own voices and were still denied. But I think it's significant. This is the thing. Why are people so dead set on controlling Black women's voices, on writing the narratives, writing the lyrics, writing the concepts of the songs that we sing? Because our voices have power, because our experiences, our lived experiences and our distinct perspectives have power. And so I think that all of these women, whether they use their platform or their pen or their voice to speak directly out against oppression, or whether they did use their craft that way, I still think that just deciding that they were significant enough to stand up and be visible and use their power and their creativity visibly within the society, to me, is always an act of resistance. It always flies in the face of oppression. I know for a fact, I was talking to my auntie over the holiday season, the holiday break, and I learned earlier this year, when she and I spent some time together, that my grandmother, her mother, who was born in South Carolina and migrated up here to New York during the Great Migration, fleeing white supremacist terrorism, the KKK, with my great-grandparents and her siblings, she wanted to be a singer. She was a singer, but she wanted to pursue it professionally. And my great-grandfather, he wouldn't have it. And even at that time, women who sang and were entertainers were kind of seen as dangerous. And sometimes they were seen as harlots or sirens, and it wasn't seen as being respectable. So she had to confine her love for singing just to the church. And there's nothing wrong with singing for God, singing for your creator. Gospel music is actually one of my favorite, if not my favorite type of music. It's the music that I go to when I need to be grounded, when I'm feeling low, when I'm feeling discouraged, when I'm feeling like, I don't know, it always reminds me of okay, this is the assignment. This is where we at. This is whose child you are, this is why we do this. And I think that for me is absolutely a connection to my grandmother. I didn't grow up with her. And so I feel like every time I listen to gospel music, I feel her spirit. I always say I feel her spirit sit up. I feel like she wakes up and she's right next to me, fanning herself and singing along with me. I feel the ancestors, come alive when I listen to gospel music. So I know that it was very meaningful to her, and it's a powerful thing to sing in a spiritual context. But I also know that she had a desire and a dream to pursue it as a career. And she ended up being a teacher, and she was an incredible teacher, a mother of 6, wife. She went to school at a time where Black women weren't getting degrees. She was an incredible woman. But it's not but, it's more and there's something to be said about how taboo it still continues to be a Black female artist. And what power we have, whether we're looking at Maya Angelou, we're looking at Toni Morrison, we're looking at Nina Simone, we're looking at Viola Davis, we're looking at Cardi B or Megan Thee Stallion or Queen Latifah, MC Lyte, Roxanne Shante, Sha Rock, MC Pebbly Pooh, MC Lisa Lee, the Mercedes ladies, Left Eye, Lauryn Hill, I could just go on and on. Rhapsody, Tierra Whack. I could just keep going. But regardless of who we're talking about, Doechii, goodness, how could I not say Doechii? But there is a long list. As a matter of fact, the hip hop historian Davey D made a list of 500 female MCs. He chronicled those who are like mega ultra famous that all of us know, and ones that who are underground, who, you know, a lot of people don't know, are only within their what do you call it, geographical, regional, like underground circuit, they're known. But regardless, like when a Black woman or girl grabs the mic, it absolutely disrupts white supremacy. It absolutely disrupts sexism and male domination. It absolutely disrupts anti-Black racism. It disrupts all those systems, because when we look at this history that we were talking about what was the intention of the slave catchers, the enslavers, the monarchs, the people who devised the system of anti-Black racism, of racism, period, but to justify the project of, you know, mass human trafficking over centuries, over oceans and continents. The idea, the vision was never to support and amplify Black women's voices. What's up, y'all? I just wanted to make sure to invite you to collect the print. As you know, we have a limited edition 12 by 12 high quality print. And this is a collaboration with an amazing Black female artist named China Brown, who designed this. You can frame it, you can put it up in your office, you can put it up in your home, you can gift it to somebody. On the back is a wonderful QR code that you can scan, and it downloads the single, the Love Me All acoustic, which is not going to be on my studio album. It's not on any of the streaming platforms. It's like a special, very limited release. And just for the month of February, I'm actually going to include a QR code so that you can also download Perfect Love, which up until now has only been available with the capsule pre-orders. So just for the month of February, y'all gonna get 2 songs with this. If you wanna know more about it, you wanna order a pack with all the dope ass colors, or you just wanna get a single, you can go to cocopeila.com/the-print. This is for every Black woman that gave the culture everything and got crumbs in return. We are investing in building a different system that really honors our art, our songs, our visual art, our contributions, our analysis as fine art. And I'm so excited to have y'all. So go snatch this shit up before it goes, because it's not gonna be here for long. And yeah, thank you. The more disempowered or silenced we were, the easier that was, you know, for them. And so I think that when a Black woman decides she has something to say, when she makes a sound, when she shows her unique creativity, her unique spirit and blessing, and she speaks up, I think it's really powerful. So remember their names: Billy, Whitney, Angie, Nina, and there's so many more. Question the system that profits from our pain. Ask, who owns the art I love, right? So many Black female artists were not credited for their work or have their work redone, right? I have a thought in my head about one of Nina Simone's songs that I've noticed has gotten a lot of placements when it was redone by a white male vocalist. Question, when you see that done, question, well, why not have it be her? Where's the money going from this, and why are certain choices made? Honor them by demanding better for the artists still here, still creating, still fighting, right? Don't just say, well, you know, one of my favorite quotes of all time, is still my signature in my email, is by Toni Cade Bambara. She talked about the role of the writer is to make the revolution irresistible. And I think that the role of the songwriter is to set that writing to melody and rhythm, right? And I think that, and that quote has been taken and been made into the role of the artist is to make the revolution irresistible. And I subscribe to that, but I also think making the revolution irresistible is a full-time job. So let's also invest in the artists, in our artists, the way that we would invest in a Basquiat painting, a Picasso painting, a Dali painting, a Georgia O'Keeffe painting, a Frida Kahlo painting, the way that we invest in these forms of art that are considered fine art because they've been classified so by white upper class, right? Like we get to decide. We are the tastemakers, especially as Black people. What it is that we value is we set the bar, right? And carry their stories, carry their stories like a torch so the next generation of Black girls never has to beg for the value of their genius to be recognized, right? And you might say, well, Coco, what are you doing about it? You up here on a soapbox. Speaking of Black history and family history lineage, I was talking about this also to my auntie. Shout out to Aunt Connie. I love you. My love. She was like, no, she told me this, but I think actually my father was the first person to tell me this. And I was like, was that true? But I always say, well, I be up on my soapbox. Let me get down off my soapbox. And my father was like, your grandfather actually had a soapbox that he would get up on. And then I asked my auntie, I was like, is that true? And she was like, yeah, there was a store in Springfield, Massachusetts back in the day that had little miniature models of Black folks, but it was very offensive, racist little models, and they were selling them. And so my grandfather, may his soul rest, he got out. Apparently, he had his soapbox. He was marching out in front of it and encouraging the community to boycott the store because what they were doing was racist. So I know y'all like, you always be on your soapbox. Look, I'm carrying on tradition. Like the brother Nas said, okay, carry on tradition. This runs in my blood, okay? When I see something I don't like, I do get on my soapbox, but the other thing is that I'm about that action. So what am I doing about it? Well, I built something new, a sacred system, because my next album couldn't just drop. I needed it to arrive like a ritual, like a prayer, like a legacy, because that's what it is. I created a limited edition capsule, and I'm inviting folks who fuck with my music, who are excited and inspired by this journey to invest and collect the capsule. The capsule, it's a cultural altar, it's a sacred correction, it's an economic and political statement. No streaming, no AI, no middlemen, and no discounts. Only 500 will ever exist. 12 capsules have already been collected. And each capsule includes a autographed vinyl record, a digital download code, because I know y'all like y'all digital devices, a lyric book, a rhyme book that has space for you to write, but also includes the lyrics to all the songs, and a pass to all the secret location concerts that are going to be happening coming up as soon as we release the album. And, it's not just music. This is a rebuke, a remedy, a refusal to keep burying brilliance and calling it business. And it's also, taking myself seriously in this legacy, in this lineage of Black women in hip hop, Black women in music. The capsule for me is a living flower bouquet. It's a loud, beautiful, I see you, a hand extended backward and forward in the cipher for those who came before and for the ones coming up. So if you're interested in investing in this capsule and collecting yours, I also designed it in a way where everything that I offer to you all, I designed it in a way so that it will be something that will appreciate over time. I don't want you to get something from me that one day, like, for example, like streaming. Do you know how many albums I've downloaded and I don't know where they are because that iPod doesn't work anymore, or that device no longer pairs or plays out of the speakers, or you know what I'm saying? Or that computer with all those songs on that hard drive died and now I don't have them. So I want you all to have something that actually builds in value over time. So you're investing, you know, as Black people, as artists, as folks who are also standing in allyship and alliance and solidarity with Black folks. We need to be investing, you know, and that's also a way for us to divest from the systems that aren't working. It's not enough just to say like capitalism is whack, you know, don't buy shit. No, it's Black History Month. You should be investing in Black-owned businesses, in small businesses, and Black women-owned businesses, and Black artists, right? Because even back before the paper dollar, you know, we had cowrie shells. There were ways that we shared and bartered and exchanged resources so that we would have like a lush, vibrant, abundant ecosystem within our community. So if you are interested in investing in my music, in this capsule, and having this amazing asset that's going to appreciate over time and also sounds bomb as hell and is inspiring because y'all know how I get down, nothing less, go to cocopeila.com/album capsule. And we'll see if maybe we can even get something popped down on the screen. I also, of course, put the link down in the YouTube description. And reserve yours before it's gone. Reserve yours before Jay-Z discovers that I exist and he signed me to a publishing deal or something like that. Like before Beyonce give me to open for her, like reserve it now so you could be like, I got that old school album capsule from Coco Peila. Like just do it. I know people think I sound crazy, but I know what time it is. And join me here for the next Women in Hip Hop Wednesdays podcast every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. This is a sacred space where we give flowers in full bloom, not posthumously, to the women who shaped hip hop culture, uplifting, sharing the stories, sounds, and spirit the mainstream left out. Listen, y'all, let's rewrite the rules, okay? Let's give Black women their flowers now. Let's build a system that honors and sustains our labor, contributions, and genius. Let's make music industry history. Let's make music industry history, Black hip hop, her story together. And hip hop is a conversation, so what the fuck is you saying? What are you saying? What are you contributing? What stories and wisdom do you have to offer the cipher? How are you listening, right? In order to have a call, you got to listen to the call. You got to absorb the gems and the wisdom. And that's how you then give back into the cipher with your response. Love y'all, for real, for real.